Welcome to the ATA Podcast, where each month we bring you news and insights from the American Translators Association. Let's get started with a few quick announcements.
ATA offers so many benefits for members that you might even not be aware of them all. Find out what you've been missing at the Member Benefits Meetup on June 6th at 2 p.m. Eastern. Are you looking to connect with fellow Chinese language professionals? The Chinese Language Division of the ATA offers a vibrant network of Chinese language professionals with our WeChat groups, Zoom webinars, and other resources to keep you informed and inspired. At the Chinese Language Division, we build bridges between two of the world's most spoken languages, Chinese and English. Join us by emailing divisioncld@atanet.org and be part of the conversation. Does anyone in the language professions come to mind when I say advocacy, impact, or innovation? If so, it's time to give them the recognition they deserve. Nominations for the ATA Advocacy, Impact, and Innovation Awards are open from May 1st through May 31st. Visit ATA's Honors and Awards program page to learn more and to submit your nomination. ATA membership is required.
Ted Wozniak is a certified freelance German to English financial translator with almost 30 years of experience. He is a former accountant and has held positions as a stockbroker, U.S. Army liaison officer in Germany, and an interrogation instructor at the U.S. Army Intelligence School, which I feel like deserves its own podcast episode. He was a mentor at the University of Chicago Graham School program for German to English business translation and an adjunct professor for the NYU translation program. He is a past president, treasurer, and director of ATA itself, and a past treasurer for the International Federation of Translators, which we are going to hear all about in a moment. He is the owner and moderator of Finanztrans, a mailing list for German financial translators, and CEO and president of Payment Practices, an online service for vetting LSC clients. Thank you for being here today, Ted.
Thank you for inviting me.
So today we're going to talk about the International Federation of Translators, which usually goes by its French name, the Fédération Internationale des Traducteurs, or simply FIT. And that is pretty much the sum total of everything I personally know about FIT, which is why I asked Ted, as past treasurer of FIT, as I just mentioned, to come on to the ATA podcast today and tell us exactly what it is. So start with the complete basics today. What is FIT?
Well, FIT is an association of associations. Individuals cannot be members of FIT, only translator, terminologists, I keep forgetting to add terminologists, and interpreter associations, as well as educational institutions can be FIT members. So that's what it is.
So then what's the relationship between FIT and ATA?
So ATA is a member, so they're called a member association. FIT has, and I should have looked this up, I think roughly around 300 association members. Don't quote me on that one. I could be wrong. And it's been a couple of years since I was involved in FIT. So, but it's global. There are now 5 regional centers, which is where most of the work gets done. Basically continental based. There's FIT North America, FIT Latin America, FIT Europe, FIT Asia, and FIT Africa. So that covers the whole globe. So FIT Africa and FIT Asia are relatively new. FIT Africa was created just when I was FIT treasurer, and then FIT Africa was formed a year or so after I left.
So what do they do? Is there like a FIT conference, the way there's an ATA conference where all the associations meet?
Yes, sort of. There is every 3 years, FIT holds a world congress. So they call it a congress, not a conference. And of course, ATA members are more than welcome to attend. It's almost always in a fairly interesting location. I went to the ones in Brisbane, Australia, Havana, or not Havana, it was in Varadero, Cuba, and one other one, I forget.
I think the most recent one was in Geneva, Switzerland, I heard.
Yeah, I missed that one. Geneva's not one of my favorite cities, so
Oh, blasphemy.
no. So much better, much nicer places in Switzerland. So anyway, and so it does have this conference, but for ATA members, it is not like the ATA conference. First of all, it's much smaller, usually well below 1,000 attendees, depending on where it's at, um, and with how things are going in the world. Could be three or 400, maybe a little over 500. So it has a lot fewer sessions, and many of the sessions tend to be more academic oriented than practice related. But it is a great opportunity to meet translators from all over the world. We all face, the same challenges globally, and it's really good to meet those colleagues and learn how they're coping with them. You might learn a thing or two. So that's the conference. Um,
So when you say the sessions are academic, do they talk about translation?
yeah, they're about translation, but there's more translation theory. So again, like you have more translation professors or researchers, and they're talking about, well, again, I don't know, because to be honest, that's never been an interest of mine, so I never attended any of them because I'm pretty sure I would die of boredom in them. But not that there isn't a place for research in academia, it's just not my cup of tea. So, but again, but they have been doing a lot more practice oriented in the last 10 or 12 years. Um, so, if you have an opportunity to go, and you can travel halfway around the world, depending on where it's going to be, go for it. So you'll meet a lot of interesting people.
So who typically goes to these things besides you said the presenters tend to be professors and whatnot, but are they heads of the all these associations that are attending?
Yeah, well, so in conjunction with the World Congress, 2 days before that starts, the FIT has their a 2 day governing Congress, so which is their equivalent to our annual meeting of members. So that's their governing session. So the generally that's attended by the presidents and the FIT representatives of the member associations. Again, not everybody attends. A lot of associations just don't, they're small. They don't have the money to travel. But there's, the ones I went to probably had, a little over 100 people at them. So, so good, 30% of the membership's represented. Um, yeah, and but that's a governance congress.
So do they
They
talk
do.
about, do they share ideas about how to run the organizations and similar?
Again, it's mostly admin stuff. There's bylaws changes that have to be voted on, and the big business of the day there is to choose the host of the next World Congress and where it's going to be. Um, they uh, FIT puts out requests for bids, sort of, to all its members on to host the next World Congress, and they usually take three offers, the three best offers, and they put those up for a vote.
So you said so you mentioned that most of the work is done at the regional level.
Correct.
What work
Yeah.
is that?
Um, that's where the individual member facing stuff is done, professional development seminars, other kinds of training, local on-site meetings. Um, Fit Europe and Fit Latin America are pretty active in that regard. Again, Fit Africa and Fit Asia are new, and I don't know what they're doing. I imagine Fit Asia probably does a fair amount simply because the Chinese Translators Association is huge and they're well funded because I think they get government subsidies. I'm not positive, but I think they do. So they can do a lot. And I know in itself, just within China, they do a lot. So, Fit North America, for various reasons, just has historically not done a lot in that regard. There's some problems, inherent in its structure. It only has three countries: Canada, United States, and Mexico. The Canadian associations that are members of FIT are all regional associations. Canada doesn't have a national association like the ATA. So again, it says the regional associations, they're pretty much focused on their region, Quebec, Alberta, whatever. Then there are five members from Mexico. So whatever the problems are, again, huge distances. If you want to meet in the middle, well, it would always be in the United States. So politically, that's not always good. Um, yeah, and then I don't know, language issues before COVID and remote interpreting and AI and all that, that was an issue. Unlike Fit Latin America, pretty much it's all Spanish for the most part. Um, Fit Europe, they tend to at least generally use English as a common language. So anyway, but yeah, Fit North America again, which is why probably ATA members aren't as familiar with Fit as individual translators in, say, Europe or other places of the world.
Are the events open to the public? Do you have to be a member of a FIT member?
Uh, no. Um, but sort of just like ATA events, if you're a member of a member association, okay, let me explain this. Okay, so for FIT events, any member of a member association can attend at whatever the member price is. For the regional center activities, FIT Europe has an official policy that members of FIT member associations pay the member price. That is not a global policy at FIT, but it is a custom. So, for example, if FIT Latin America was putting on some sort of webinar about, I don't know, legal translation in Ecuador or whatever, and an ATA member wanted to attend that, they could ask, I mean, just contact the organizer and say, hey, I'm an ATA member. Can I get the member price? They'll probably give it to you, but I don't think they're not required by policy to do that. So, but yeah, any ATA member can attend these events. I've noticed in the uh, the last 6 or 8 months, FIT itself has been putting out some webinars or that are open to everybody because they're advertised on Facebook and elsewhere. So they're pretty much open to everybody. The problem is for ATA members is finding out about them ahead of time. Again, I'm not so I don't know if I assume they're forming the FIT representative, and that information gets passed on to headquarters to put in the ATA newsletter. But again, since I'm not there, I don't know.
There's a newsletter, right? I've heard that
Yeah,
FIT puts out a newsletter.
yeah. So there's a newsletter called Translatio, um, which is actually our ATA president, like Ben Carl, has been the chair of the Translatio committee for many years, kind of the editor in chief role. He's done an excellent job at that. Um, and I think that's put out quarterly, I believe. And then there's a scholarly journal called Babel or Bobble, depending on where you are in the world. They gave me all the fit people gave me a hassle when I kept pronouncing it Babel. Uh, Again, it's more of a scholarly article, and they publish all their articles are published in English, French, and Spanish. You submit it in whatever any of those languages, and they'll get translated. But sometimes in other languages. Um, so those are the two publications that they put out.
Are they available to the general public or are they paywalled like the ATA Chronicle?
Um, to the best of my knowledge, they are not paywalled. Whether they actually get posted to the Fit website or not is an ongoing problem.
How do people get
They
access
put
to
up
them
they
then?
you'll see they uh I do know that those get sent out to the Fit reps, and you get an email and say there's a link to it here. So there's a link, but whether that link gets published on the website, the website gets updated, it, at least when I was there, there was some admin issues on getting that done in a timely manner. So
Okay, so ATA members, if we don't seek out communications with FIT, we are sort of relying on
relying on the
ATA's.
on the Fit representative to ATA's Fit rep, um, which is the president, Andy Benzo now. Um, they give emails, and again, so they can pass them on to headquarters for inclusion in ATA news briefs. And again, I guess that's kind of on a space available basis. So if they make it in, you'll find out about it, assuming you read the news briefs. So if you don't read the news briefs, then chances are you won't see it unless you're old like me and still use Facebook. But that's again, I don't use other social media, so I don't know what else is. But I'm assuming they're on, Instagram and Twitter and whatever else. So
Okay. And just an update, I believe, don't quote me on this, but I believe Ben stepped down as editor of Transladio because I think, he has other stuff going on.
as president-elect, that was probably too much of a time commitment to keep doing that. So
All right. Well, I mean, that's a good overview, and that's sort of all I wanted to give members for today. Is there anything else that you want members to kind of understand about FIT's role and what it does?
um, yeah, I should say because I'm thinking about, I said I don't know if I've painted a very positive picture of Fit, and I want to be fair. Fit itself, or they call it Fit Mundus, the global organization of Fit, out, um, its mission, its primary mission is to focus on associations. Its job is to help form regional associations and to help associations work together. So again, its role is not geared towards the individual. It's geared towards helping associations be better associations. And that's why I say that the regional centers are where uh, the more individual facing work is done. The one everybody should know about, International Translation Day. Almost forgot. I mean, that's uh, that's a Fit thing. It was created by Fit. Well, it's created by the United Nations after lobbying by Fit. Of course, anybody who doesn't know about ITD, it's St. Jerome's Day, September 30th of each year, St. Jerome being the patron saint of translators. And there's a poster contest each year that any individual can submit a poster. Um, and that's kind of, the one day a year we all kind of clap ourselves on the back and say, hooray for being translators and interpreters. And since it's Fit, terminologists.
And so it is called, the International Federation of Translators.
Their mandate has always included, from the beginning, it was translators, interpreters, and terminologists, ITT. For whatever reason, the name was International Federation of Translators or Federación Internacional de Traductores. Um, there's been debate about changing the name, just as ATA had debate about changing the name. It's just that's their brand. And it would just cost too much money and be too disruptive to the brand to change that name to include the other two. So, um, and I should also mention again, Fit committees. Again, for individuals that want to make a work with Fit, there's a number of committees. Uh, Audiovisual training and accessibility, crisis setting, interpretation and translation, indigenous languages. There's an interpreting committee, legal translation. So much like the fields of practice divisions that we have, not that we have in ATA, and individual members are more than welcome to volunteer for those committees and work on those projects. I know recent years, the AV division worked pretty closely with the FIT, audiovisual committee on, again, it is a relatively new field, so they were working together to, make sure that, well, uh, what's being done around the world and what we're doing here at home meshes up. So yes, so there's actually quite a lot. Of course, they can also run for office if they want. They can be on the Fit Council. They can run for Fit North America Executive Committee, maybe get that thing up and running. Although there's only 3 positions on that, and generally, so there's one from Canada, one from Mexico, and one from the United States.
All right. Lots of opportunities there. I will put the websites for Fit Mundus, as you called it, and then Fit North America in the show notes so people can find out more.
Great.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Ted. I appreciate your time.
Thank you very much, Andie.
That's a wrap. To learn more about the American Translators Association, including how to join, visit atanet.org. Until next time.